Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the EmpowerMAN podcast. It's your boy, Mikey G. After surviving a technical difficulty prior to logging on, I am here from the free state of Florida. And tonight, because it is Friday night and most people are out carousing, having a good time, we are trying to empower men and women all over the world. And instead of using alcohol or caffeine, the drug that I need is staring right across from me. He is the champion of the Second Amendment. He is Father of the Year. He is numero uno in his family lineage for being huge. The man, the myth, the legend, the patriot, the parent, the friend, the brother, the father, Greg A. Tedora, number one. Sir, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, sir. The black tar heroin. That's me. Yep, that's your drug of choice right there.
Yeah.
And anyway, happy Friday, sir.
It
We're
is
doing it.
Friday night, and I
Mhm.
feel all right. And the party is here on the west side of Delray.
There you go.
Life is good. We're chilling. It's been a very interesting week in regards to the world.
hmm
Our boy DJT is really cleaning up over there, and it's kind of crazy how the majority of people, especially on the Republican side, have spoken. But I think things are going to get real interesting with RFK Jr., Joe Manchin. It's
Yeah.
really a wild time to be alive. And for those of that younger listeners that maybe history has been interpreted differently to you, to people like us, it is a real wild time to be alive in this country, Greg. What are your thoughts on what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, we've said it before. This is going to be an interesting year. It's an election year, so who the fuck knows what's going to happen? I'm sure something will be pulled out of the hat, but it's just solidified that I can't stand politicians. I can't. I think they're all bought and paid for. Everyone's heard me say it before. I wish more of the real veterans would step up and get into politics. However, I completely understand why they don't. And a lot, not all, but a lot of the politicians that are former vets um have turned politician, and I have no respect for that. Like Dan Crenshaw, you know, not a fan. But I just wish I'm for the person that has this country first: safety, security, borders, and economy. That's all we need. And patriotism. I don't care who leads this country, as long as that comes first, yo, I'm cool with them.
And what's so crazy is that there are 10 million. I mean, okay, migrants, they're illegal aliens,
Yeah.
immigrants that are coming into this country illegally,
hmm
and the government doesn't want to stop it at all. We
Listen,
know the reason why, but the people don't understand. Like, they want to federalize the Texas National Guard.
listen. I give
Nuts.
I give Abbott a lot of credit down in Texas for standing up for his people and trying to put a stop to this. I mean, it's going to be a problem because they're butting heads. They're like, we're gonna cut the fences, and he's like, all right, you can do that. We're just going to put them back up. And they're like, well, you can't do that. And he's like, well, you can't cut them down. Technically, this is an ongoing investigation. You really can't. Nobody's allowed to do anything. But if you're going to do
Agreed.
that, my boys are going to stand there and put them right back up. And at the end of the day, that's American versus American. And that's exactly what outsiders want. It's the bigger picture. It's the slower play that these people are doing while they're sitting back, letting us destroy each other. I'm sure these guys don't want to have beef. I'm sure a lot of them think the same, but they're following orders. And now it becomes a problem because it's like I said, American versus American. I know what I would do. And I'm not, and I'm glad I'm not in their position. It's a tough spot to be in. Everybody needs a job. They have families, bills, they got to eat. But at the end of the day, I think things can come to a head, and it's gonna has a real potential to be a problem.
25 Republican governors sided with Abbott, which is awesome. And they're actually going to send, like, the Oklahoma governor is going to send their National Guard there. And it really is, people
But
think
play
that
that
we're
out.
crazy
Play
nuts,
that
right?
out. What's that going to look like? Like, remember in Waco, Texas, with the Colt Davidian, like they're going to bring the storm the property. Like, play this out. What is this just going to do? It's going to be a big standoff, and it's against our own people. It's just bad look, man. It's a bad look.
It is the formation of the second civil war in this country because it's coming, and nobody is prepared for it. And quite some interesting times. So to everybody, watch your 401ks, watch your watch your retirements, because I already know, like, if my 401k gets wiped out, which probably will, I got a job at Publix, so
It's
that I
great,
know
great
I'm
store.
good with.
It's a great store.
Great store. Shout out to Publix. They've got great meat. They've got great
Hmm.
produce. It's easy to shop. It's clean too. They do a
Yeah.
great job cleaning it up. So
And I want to, give a shout out to all the military personnel, even the ones that are here, the National Guard. Like, I feel bad for you guys with all the stuff going on. So just be careful. Use your heads, stay cool under the pressure, and to all our guys and girls overseas, be careful. We're targets everywhere we go now, so be safe. And also, I always talk about the Danny Dietz Foundation here. Today would have been his 44th birthday, so rest in peace and happy birthday
yeah,
to Mr. Danny Dietz.
yeah, and in fact, we'll dedicate this episode to Danny Dietz and to the Danny Dietz Foundation. Any servicemen or women
Mhm.
that have put their life in the line, so Greg and I can have this platform to empower people. We have our eternal love and respect and gratitude
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
gratitude. And to piggyback off that, Greg, I want to thank all of our brave men and women in blue,
Yep.
our firemen and women, our EMTs, first responders. Thank you for keeping our communities safe and sound,
Absolutely.
for sure, man. Um, so we're on episode 41. It's interesting. So, I think
Yeah.
about things a lot because I think people look at me as eye candy, and they often misconstrue my good looks and my charisma for just being all show and no go.
I've witnessed it almost every time we've gone
It's
out.
a real, and as I get older, I get more appealing. I mean, I just get sexier
Like a
as I get
fine
older.
wine, man.
It's the salt and pepper here. It's the fact that my grays, I got a haircut, so I got rid of some of the grays.
You still have a good head of hair, sir.
So, this is a Suave coconut conditioner. So, and I use L'Oreal sculpting paste, no gel.
Okay. All right.
But we talk about being and all now getting serious. To be thinking about things in life as we get older, we reflect upon things. One of the things that if I can go down a rabbit hole is missed opportunities. A lot of things in life I missed, as I should have pounced on, but I didn't. I
Hmm.
didn't have the awareness. I didn't have the courage. I didn't
Hmm.
have the belief in myself. There's a lot of things, and I know people have always talked about that, and everyone's gone through it and whatnot. But I wanted to bring it to the forefront tonight. Um, Let me ask you a question, Greg. Have you ever had an opportunity in life, whether it be a business opportunity or a personal opportunity, that you may have missed? That you've been like, shoot, I really wish I would have jumped on that.
I don't like to live like you in regret or anything, but of course, I think there's been opportunities that I missed that I not necessarily wish I can go back because I don't want to change anything because it makes me and brings me to the place I'm at now, which I'm actually pretty cool with. But yeah, I often wonder if I would have seized that opportunity, what my life would look like now, and what certain things would be, what certain things wouldn't be. So, yeah, I've had opportunities in my past that I've missed, and most of them was a conscious choice not to do it. And so, like, I'll give an example. My dad's been in the school systems forever. I think he was with Nershaw High School for either 34 or 36 years. It's one of the two.
God bless him.
Started out as a teacher, and then he quickly became one of the principals there. And remember, we spoke about this in previous episodes, that slow and steady
That's right.
wins the race mentality,
That's right.
which I totally understand. I'm just not wired that way. I'm more like that now that I'm older, but I'm not fully, just not built that way.
Right.
And I remember he would always be on me to be a teacher. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. And he's like, it's not really about doing it. He's like, a gym teacher gets paid the same as like a physics AP teacher. And physics AP, I took it. It's a hard class. There's a lot of homework. There's a lot of teaching. In gym, you take attendance. and they get paid the same pension, same days off. You have summers off, you have all the holidays. It's great. And I often wonder, what if I took that opportunity because I had an in? I could have been juiced in quite nicely, actually. And I just never took advantage of that. And I don't regret it, but I do wonder, like, I'd probably be retired right now and all of that. So I don't know. I think about that. What about you?
Yeah. I've missed. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast. Actually, I could probably fill up an hour and a half.
Are we talking
Yeah.
business or pleasure?
Well, let's go business first.
Okay.
Um, I, there were times early on when I was trying to live my dream of being a professional wrestler.
Yep.
Where I had opportunities to go to different places. One of the things I always wanted to do was wrestle in Japan. Like that's a really big deal to go wrestle in Japan. There is and now more than ever, guys and gals are going over there. They're getting opportunities because to wrestle in Japan, it's a big honor in our industry, in the professional wrestling industry,
Okay.
because there's a lot of tradition, there's a lot of honor and a lot of respect because it's very revered over there. It's very reverent, and the Japanese wrestling fans are very, very. They're like American wrestling fans. They're very smart. And I always wanted to go over there. In fact, I always wanted to go. I don't know if anyone's listening in Japan, but if anyone from the Riviera Steakhouse is listening, I have always wanted a jacket. And that's one of the things I wanted to accomplish before I say, hey, I can't walk anymore. I can't wrestle. That's one thing I wanted because I am deep down inside, I'm a mark. And everyone that knows me knows I'm the biggest mark they'll ever meet. And I want to walk around Delray Beach, Florida in 40-degree weather with a Riviera Steakhouse jacket on. One of my buddies got
Send it
one.
over, guys. Send it over.
Dude, one of my buddies got one when he went over there, and I was so mad. I was like, well, I wasn't mad, but it was,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm like so jealous of you, because I always wanted one. But I think because I was afraid to leave my comfort zone, I stayed.
Yeah.
I was afraid to give up my job, my life in Manhattan, to go
Understandably
move to
so.
like the sticks of Missouri, where I was guaranteed no money. And at a certain point in your life, you're like, well, do I want to compromise my lifestyle? Do I want to do this? And I wasn't ready to give up living in Manhattan at 27 years old,
Yeah.
doing God knows what with everything to live in Section 5 housing. And
Listen, Freddie T went to college, Northwest Missouri State. So
Oh, listen, I had a ball in Missouri. I'd go visit. I had a ball. There was a bar called Buzzer McGee's. I don't know if anyone's listening from the back in the Harley race days of the mid 2000s. But when I used to go out there, Buzzer McGee's, dollar drafts. That was awesome. So much fun. And I was grateful. I had the opportunity to go out there and work with a guy like Harley Race from time to time. But I wish I would have taken the jump. Phil, our friend Phil always was like, go do it. And you told me that. And I was afraid to do it. Personal, that's a whole other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Phil would tell stories. Now Phil's traveled all over the world doing high risk security stuff. And he always said, listen, I've never been shot at until I did some work in Missouri. I mean, he's been all over Middle East, all that, no problems. But he does something in Missouri, gets shot at. So it's funny how that works.
And I'll tell you, the place I used to wrestle at was the crystal meth capital of the world.
There you go.
And that was in Eldon, Missouri. Shout out to Eldon, great town. Like I said, Buzzers, great. If that bar is still around, that bar was awesome. And I had a ball. I had so much fun going out there. Personally, I sabotaged a lot of relationships. A lot of things, I did. Because I didn't believe I was good enough. I didn't believe I was deserving enough. I didn't believe I was worthy enough. But you talked about it earlier, about living life in regret. And you made a good point too. Like, you wouldn't be where you're at right now if you didn't make those decisions. And I think God does things in a weird way. And I've had revelations where, God puts you where you're exactly where you're supposed to be. People cross your life. They come into your life for a reason. I really believe that.
Yeah, I'm starting to really get on that bus.
Why? I don't know. It's
I
like,
don't know that.
why are you doing this to me for? Like, like, is it to test my willpower? Is it that? Because if anyone knows me, I have zero willpower. I have zero willpower.
No, you're
I
pretty
have,
good, man. You're pretty good.
I have zero willpower. All right, so my light just went out. I don't know what's going on here in my Amazon light. That's okay. It hides my grays. But yeah, I have zero willpower. But I also believe like God brings people into your life for a reason. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. We're
Yeah.
going through the things that we're supposed to go through.
Yep.
And you know, I think Greg, you hit the nail on the head. You can't live life in regret.
No.
It's not good. It's
No,
not
it's
good.
not. It's not.
A good friend of mine told me earlier this week that, you know, if you look back on the past, you're going to feel sad. If you look forward to the future, it might be a little overwhelming. We got to do our best to stay present and try to step into this light where we're at right now. And that's hard because,
Yeah.
when you're alone or you're isolated, you tend to look back on things because you miss something or miss
Hmm.
someone.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be cognizant of the fact that we have to remain present.
Yeah. Sometimes you miss the action too, you know?
That too.
It's when things get quiet, things can get weird in your head.
That too. Greggy T. So we talked about an opportunity in life that you may
Yeah.
have missed, but what about why do you think people let opportunities pass them by?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons in my opinion. You know, number one, they let them pass by, like you said before, just fear. Maybe they're afraid to step into that, which is unfortunate because they could be stepping into something tremendous. So I think fear plays a part, peer pressure, and also overthinking things because you overthink things and you just stay static. And you can try to dissect a problem a million times. Sometimes you just got to go for it. And people, sometimes don't take the opportunities. They're afraid to fail and they don't want to look dumb or look silly in front of people. There's so many reasons to this, but I think we've all done one or two of them at some point in our life. All of us have.
Have you let an opportunity pass you by to the point where not saying you missed an opportunity, but like
Hmm.
you had something that was presented to you and you were just like, I don't think so. And then the opportunity that you took after that, you regretted. Have you ever had been in a decision like that before?
That's a tough question. I can't think of any off the top of my head, like business wise.
Hmm.
I mean, it just didn't pan out. So it's not like I chose not to, but I was going to be involved in a business with a very good friend of mine in Florida. And and he was all into because he has also ownership with the same person we were going to invest in and other things that are hugely successful. It got to the point where we were basically going to put pen to paper on getting a lease, and it would have been in Boynton actually, and it would be a monster, like game changer, great money, and for some reason it didn't happen. Not for my choice, but it was disappointing because I know it would have been a home run. It'd be great, but you know what? Wasn't meant to be then. I
Right.
firmly believe that it was not meant to be. And other opportunities have come since then, which are great, and it's fine. But I think about that, but there's nothing I can do.
So do you think opportunities are meant to be, or do you think that opportunities are like a cognizant choice?
I think it's a little bit of both, and I know that's a weird answer, but
It's a tough
it's a
question.
choice. It is a tough question. If an opportunity presents itself, no matter how it's presented, either somebody gives it to you, or you stumbled upon it, or you created it, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second, you have a choice to go for it, or you have a choice not to go for it. And I think sometimes it's just not it's not so easy to go for it. Like I
Mm.
said, for the reasons I just named, it's just I think it's a little bit of both. I really do.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's a hard question. It's a tough question.
Yeah, I think people let opportunities pass them by because there could be a little bit of complacency because they always think like, hey, it'll be there, right? And then
Yeah.
I can try this other thing. It's kind of like when you when it comes to dating, sometimes both guys and
Mhm.
girls are guilty of the grass always being greener.
Yep.
Or, unfortunately, we've come across people that, you know, didn't really do the right thing by their partners because they knew they had a good partner, but they would
Yeah.
go out and do
Hmm.
things that single
Yeah.
people should do.
Yep.
I think, instead of, hey, I have a great opportunity to have an amazing relationship with this
Yeah.
individual, because
Yep.
I think people nowadays take things for granted.
100%.
And there's a mixture of complacency involved in there. There's
Hmm.
also a little spice of entitlement, where it's like, I deserve this when
A
the
lot of
work
things in
hasn't
that
really been.
recipe. There's a lot of things, a lot of ingredients in that.
Yeah, yeah, it's got quite a zip to it too. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, especially like in the training industry, I think people expect to get clients when you have to work for it. And also, it's a commission based business like real estate, and I think people have to realize that they work for the client and that they have to do right by the client. And I think we're very focused on
Yep.
ourselves these days.
It's a service business at the end of the day, no matter how you slice it, and you have to look at it like that.
Yeah, and you wanna exhibit, like, what role do I play in this? Am I a professional? Am I
Yeah.
someone's friend? Like, I
Hmm.
I don't wanna be someone's friend. Like,
Yeah, me
I
neither.
don't get paid to be friends with somebody, I get paid to do a job, and keeping that in mind. Now you're gonna build a relationship, which is awesome,
Of
and I've been
course.
grateful. I've been
Of course.
but you have to identify your role in the relationship,
Yeah.
whether it's, your family, you and I, like, what's
Hmm.
my role? What's your role? And I think, when you're looking at opportunities, like if we have an opportunity to do something really big, what's my role in this? Well, Greg, what do you think of this as a partnership? And we
Yeah.
talk about it, we collaborate on this opportunity. Does it satisfy what we're looking for? And I think you
Yeah.
have to really have that in mind when something comes your way, even if it's dating someone. Does this situation fit my narrative?
I completely agree. I mean,
You know,
dating runs a lot of it has a lot of similar parallels to
sure
business.
does. Sure
And I
does.
think there's more there's more stakes involved because it's your emotions and it's your time and stuff. But
You're not
not that your
kidding.
business isn't,
Right.
but it's to me, it's a lot more riding on it in the personal
100%.
level. So
100%, Greg. Um, I think we talked about, people recognizing opportunities, being able to be
yeah.
cognizant of the fact when an opportunity comes their way. It goes back to something I said episodes ago. We have that good stress and bad stress, right? Like,
Hmm.
when you get that opportunity to go out with somebody, you're like all excited, like, oh, wait, she said yes, let's go. Like, I'm
Yep.
excited, I want to get this done. Or if I have like a job interview that I'm looking for, like, that's an opportunity where I get amped up. And I think you always said this to me, your gut will never lie to you. You never go on with your gut. Trust your gut.
I was
Is it?
taught that. I was taught that.
Do you
Like
think that's a good
usually
parameter
I
for
think it
opportunities?
is. I think it is because I was taught, listen, your gut is usually right. It's saying something for a reason. And even going back to taking multiple choice tests when I was little,
Oh
like
God,
you can I'm the worst test taker. I'm really smart, but I was the worst because I should have been an attorney because I can pretty much make any answer technically work for that question. My mom always used to say that. But I think I was always just go with your gut, your first gut answer. And because it's usually right. It's usually right. So
yeah, it's wild, man.
yeah.
And in the inverse too. It's like if you get that distress where you get like, I know for me, I carry my stress in my stomach, so I get that feeling where like I got to run to the bathroom, or I get like I
Hmm.
swear to God, before I go wrestle, I have to pee like 5 times because my biggest fear is peeing my pants when I get out there because I'm old. I'm old, and my prostate's probably the size of a basketball. But anyway, that's a different story, you know. So it's interesting when we talk about opportunities and like just the
Yeah.
feeling we get and how to recognize that.
Hmm.
I talked about sabotage, Greg. Why do you
Yeah.
think people sabotage opportunities?
It's sabotage is a big thing in a lot of factors in people's lives. It's, it's natural to some people to sabotage things. Other people, it's a learned behavior. And I think it just ties into before people can sabotage an opportunity because they're just not secure enough with themselves, their core values, their confidence isn't at a certain level. So they're talking themselves out of it. And I mean, I used to see it in the real estate business all the time. They listen, an agent. you want to sell properties. You want to get listings. Well, when somebody calls you to list their house, that's an opportunity. And you have no idea how many times people would be late for that appointment.
I bet.
They would that's all you want as an agent. And then when you get it, you like get in your shell, you get nervous, you don't do things properly, you're not buttoned up, you're not presenting well, and it's like you just fall on your face, and it's almost a self-sabotage in a way, because that is the opportunity. And that one opportunity, that one listing can make or break your career. I don't care what anybody says. I've been doing this a long time, and you get one shot in this business, and you're only as good as your last deal.
Right.
And so you have to make the best of every opportunity, and a lot of money's riding on it. But people
Yeah.
sabotage it all the time. They can't get out of their own way. They're not professional. They don't want to do the work. The entitlement comes in, and they think it's a shoe-in. Oh, it's a friend of mine, I'll get the listing. Nope, not gonna happen.
Yeah, sabotage is like a big word that you see in like social media circles and posts, and
Yeah.
everyone wants to discuss situations,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said it best, self sabotage comes from within. There
Yep.
has to be something that happened to you where you feel like, hey, I'm not good enough for this person because I've done it. I'm not good enough for this listing. I'm not smart enough. I'm
I'm
not
not good enough
good enough.
myself.
Right.
Just that whole self-reflection. A lot of
Yeah.
people have that.
Yeah. When you coach somebody through something like that, what tips do you give them to kind of avoid that sabotage or be aware of the traps or the plants that
Yeah.
the enemy will put out there to people to say, hey, you don't deserve that listing. You're never going to sell that house.
It
How do you,
depends. It depends on the person. So I get to
yeah.
know the person, and I see where their strengths are, and I see where their weak points are, and I try to focus on buttoning up the weak points. But it's it's definitely on an individual basis, case by case, depending on the person. But I just teach them, the best way to teach somebody is repetition. Do your due diligence, know your numbers, dress appropriately every day. It becomes second nature. So those little things that are big things when it comes down to it, the opportunity, those are all done. And it's second nature because they're not thinking about it, because they just done the reps. They've done the reps. They've done the reps.
Mm,
And once they get in the routine and it becomes second nature, they're off and running and they're good. It's just finding that connection in their head to do
mm,
those things. That's all it is.
interesting.
Like
Interesting
there's
approach,
some,
man.
when I coach some people swimming, or when I used to coach people swimming, everybody's different. What what drives one person doesn't drive the other person. And I've had great coaches in my life growing up in swimming. It's all mental. And I didn't tap into this till college, but obviously there's a skill set and an ability to swim fast. But at the end of the day, it's all in your head, because I know people that have, God-given talent,
Right.
that they don't have to try hard to swim fast. Then there's people that have to put the work in and really bust their ass to do well. They can beat those people naturally. It's all starts in their head, but it's tapping into that. Tough love sometimes works for some people, and it does not work with other people. You might have to take the super sensitive approach and be super quiet and delicate around them. And then others, before a race, you pull them aside and you go, these motherfuckers want to beat you in the pool, and they want to embarrass you. So you need to dominate them and kick some ass. And that sometimes switches somebody's brain, and you set them loose, and they're on fire and they're fierce. That's their motivator. Some other people aren't motivated like that. You just
Yeah.
got to find the source.
You got to find those emotional triggers, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone has a
Absolutely.
different way to respond.
Yep.
Greg, that was really well spoken, sir. I think when we talk about missed opportunities, people aren't really aware of it. I think we talked about complacency and self
Mm-hmm.
sabotage and all that, but when an opportunity is in front of you, you ever
Mm.
you ever tell us, you ever like, I'm sure you've told me, and I'm sure you've told people, like, dude, it's right in front of you. Why
Mhm.
aren't you seeing this? Right? Why do you think people are blind to that type of advice?
I don't. It's not necessarily that they're blind. Sometimes it's just hard to see it when you're in it, and it's very easy for people on the outside to see it because they're looking through it through a different lens.
Right.
In the dating world, it's easy. Like, guy, this girl's giving you all the signals, Mike. Like, you're good to go, and you're just like, you're in the moment. So you're like, hey, what you doing? Like, just like the small talk, and it's like I'm on the outside, like there's a layup, it's done, you're in. It's the same thing in like a business opportunity or whatever. You could be so in it that you already sold them. You're good. They want to buy your product, and you're still trying to pitch them, and you won them over 5 minutes ago. But sometimes people just aren't cognizant because they're in their own lane, focused on the one thing instead of taking a step back and realizing that all the signs and signals are there that they want to buy.
Interesting.
I don't know if that
Interesting.
makes sense, but
Absolutely, it does. Like I think when you know an opportunity presents itself, I,
mhm.
I think I think like it goes back to your gut, but it's also I think it's a feeling
Oh yeah,
of like
absolutely.
like it just feels right. Like the
Mhm.
body has so many we call them feedback mechanisms, right?
Ooh.
So you like that, huh?
Mm.
So one thing that I like to do with people is tactile. I want people to get a feel for things.
Mhm.
Ah, so I think when it comes to opportunities, I think it's a feeling, like um, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
I think you gotta feel it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? That makes sense.
I completely agree with that.
Uh, that's kind
Because
of
it
key
works
in
the other
terms.
way. When you get a creepy
Yeah.
feeling or you get a really bad
Oh,
feeling in a
sure.
situation or, some shit's gonna go down, that this is not a good vibe, it's the same thing. It's just a reverse feeling.
And it gives you an opportunity to react to the situation. Do I
Mhm.
run? Do I stay? Do I go? What do I do?
Mhm.
Um, here's one for you, Greggy T. Um, can you create opportunities these days?
Yes. Of course you can. You can create opportunities any day you want.
How do you
And that
think
could
people in 2024 can create opportunities?
the same thing they did in 1904. Just go do it. Go get it. What do you want to do? And then just reverse engineer it and reach out to people. I'm talking business now. You you want to be, I don't know, pick a profession. You want to be good at something. Okay. Well, what does that look like? What are your competitors doing that works? And it's okay to, I don't want to say bite off them, but use what's working for them and then make it your own. Reverse engineer it and make your phone calls, make your connections and network, something you're very good at. I hate networking. I've never liked it. But in business, you got to do it. And you want to create something, there's nothing better than calling a company directly. Even this day and age, you can still do that. And you can say, hey, I'm looking for any opportunities in your company. I'm a big fan of it. I've always known of it. Here's my resume. Keep me on file and just touch base every once in a while. It will work. It will work. You'll be top of mind, and you just got to keep doing it so you can create that in your personal life, like anything else. You can create opportunity. Go out and talk to people. Just be careful where you're going and talk to them
True.
because you're going to attract where you're at.
Absolutely. What do you think the biggest roadblock is for people creating opportunities?
Their own head, their own mindset. In order to do all that, you have to have your mind right. I'm a firm believer. Before you do anything, make sure your head is on right. Make sure you know what you want and make sure you are able to pull triggers when the time comes. If you know you want that, well, when that happens, are you ready for it? Do you really want it? And are you capable of sustaining it? And that's all in your head. You have to map all this out ahead of time. And if you're good the opportunity arises, then go for it.
Right.
And that's for business or personal.
Right.
That's my
It-
opinion.
I think it's well said. It's all about mindset. It all begins in the mind.
Everything's in your head.
You know,
Everything. It all starts there.
and we talked about entitlement being a really big purveyor in today's society, and in
Instant
holding
and
with that.
all of that is the entitlement, the instant satisfaction or gratification. and the victim mentality, all this is prevalent 24/7, social media, and it just bleeds into everything else, the shit that's on TV. And now you're out meeting people and they're talking. It's like the narrative, it just gets old. It gets old, man.
real quick.
Turn the channel.
Yeah. And I think opportunities from today are a lot different than they were back in our day 20 years ago. Not that it's a long time ago, but it seemed like a lifetime ago. I think
Hmm.
because social media has accelerated the gratification process. I think
Absolutely.
social media has accelerated opportunities for people
Yeah.
where you can network virtually, you can do a lot
Great
of things
platform.
virtually.
You'll never be able to. Back in the day, we couldn't have the reach we have. You get a tremendous worldwide reach with something like this.
A great platform,
Yeah.
but I also think in that and those two things, the work ethic and the work that goes into it, it's like anything else that you do
Hmm.
personally, professionally, you got to put the work in.
You
Like
have to, of
I don't, and, a lot of people are okay just doing minimal stuff,
course.
and you really see, and I see a lot of professional athletes, in regards, I look at Michael Jordan. I look at Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I look at even Jerry
Kobe.
Rice, Kobe. Kobe was the last of that. He was the
Yeah.
last of that
Yeah.
work ethic, that dog, as people like to say, that dog, right? And
No one
you look at
outworked those people. Nobody.
yeah, even like the old school billionaires. It's different now because technology has accelerated
Yeah.
how people can make money. You see all the influencers on YouTube, and don't get me wrong, a job is a job, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
disrespect that.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Of course.
It's a different mindset. It's a different
Hmm.
mentality.
It is. I agree with that.
And I, for one, have the old school. You have the old school, and I'm not going to change. I'll adapt to the times, but as far as my work ethic goes,
Hmm.
it's I'm not gonna conform to the 2024, standard of what's acceptable for work.
Yep.
Um, there's one for you. This should catch on like wildfire. Are people are people opportunistic in nature? Not in nature, like in the woods, like frolicking around, like Woodstock. But do you think people just are naturally opportunistic? Like if they take advantage of something, you think people would take advantage of something? You think people
S-
would think before they do something?
some do and some don't. You always have your I substitute opportunistic with survivalists when I come to certain people because they'll just always survive. They're like fucking cockroaches. They'll just be there and they go from, one person to the next and they just survive. And I'm not hating, but I call that survivalist. You can call an opportunist as well. So I think yes, it just depends on which nature. The answer is yes, but which characteristic is more dominant? Is it just to survive, or is it taking the opportunity for a positive reason, not a
Mm.
selfish, self-centered meal ticket type of way? And I'm not hating on that. It's just not
No,
my cup of tea.
no, I agree, and I think people are opportunistic in nature. I do. I think when to go back years ago, especially living in a major city like New York or Chicago, right,
Mm.
where we had a lot of fun. I didn't have much fun in Chicago because I never really hung out in Chicago. But in New York, it wouldn't be uncommon for you to date multiple people,
Of course.
right? Or it wouldn't be uncommon for someone to capitalize on a situation regardless of where that other person was, because everyone was compliant.
Of course.
I think it's both good and bad.
Yeah.
Opportunistic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the bad comes with, when there's alcohol or drugs, and the choices that we make. The choices that we make kind of leads to the opportunities that we're going to present, like you said, with the energy and presenting itself. So I think we got to be
Mhm.
cognizant of that. But I think there's a natural opportunistic nature in ourselves,
Yeah.
especially like in dating. You find out if she's single. Oh well, let me try to ask her out. That's an opportunity. Or,
Yeah.
oh, there's a job available. Let me go see if I can apply to it.
And
So it's
that's
a
also creating that opportunity. It's both.
so opportunity, I believe, is a natural emotion
Mhm.
because there's a curiosity behind there.
Mhm.
Is this valid? Is this real? would this work for me? And then once you get into that, then comes the self-sabotage and the entitlement,
Yeah, yeah,
who you
and
know, and all that stuff.
hmm
So, but
and
Greggy T,
it's also a timing thing. Some opportunities present themselves, and it's just not the right time, and vice versa. Some really good opportunities present themselves, and it's game on. It's perfect timing.
yeah,
That's all it is.
yeah, that's gonna be the story of my biography. Timing,
Oh
how to
yeah.
how to sink a ship. It's my timing. The only good place that I have timing is in a wrestling ring. Get me outside of a wrestling ring, I have horrible timing.
Nah, not necessarily, man. You're good. It's just
You know, and to find more out about that, our Patreon channel coming soon,
yeah.
where I'll drink a pot of coffee and answer anyone's questions. No,
Oh
only
boy.
kidding. Only kidding.
hmm
But you're right. I mean, in all seriousness, now, opportunistic in nature. I think it's a feeling, and it all comes down to timing too, Greg.
Yeah, and listen, if it's meant to be, it'll be. I'm a firm believer in that, and what you may think is an opportunity might not be an opportunity. Just
True.
that's a whole other thing. You might interpret it as an opportunity,
True.
when in reality, if you break it down, you're like, it's like a false pipe dream almost.
Right.
But
No.
I think timing is everything, and things show up and present themselves when they're supposed to.
And at the darndest times, I'll tell you.
Yep.
Uh, uh, so the last thing I want to ask you, Greg, with missed opportunities, this was a great conversation. And one of the things I want to ask you is, how can people avoid missing out on something really good? Do you think people can avoid it? Or if you talk to someone in real estate that is naturally inclined to like be sabotaged or negative, but wants to do it, how can you coach someone to avoid missing out on something that could really be good for them?
I try to teach the agents to read the situation,
Mm,
and the key component, like I said, is mindset. But to when people are talking to you, there's certain words, language, body posture is a big thing, and to read the situation, listen to what they're saying. Are they asking like buy questions because they want to use you? So go in. I don't want to say go in for the kill. That sounds too aggressive. But but it's a business thing. So if they're giving you all the signs that they want to use you, then whip the contract out and let's go. Let's list your house. You have to be able to read the situation. You have to read
right.
that opportunity, because you can talk yourself right out of the opportunity
100%.
because you're not paying attention. You have to be able to read it. So I try to teach people not to miss out on these opportunities. Sometimes I always say, shut your mouth and open your ears. Listening will give you all the answers you need if you're really hearing somebody, and just be able to read it, man. Same thing in dating. Same thing when you're out to dinner with somebody and you're listening and you're like, oh, this is going well. I like what I'm hearing. Okay. Or this sucks. I can't wait to get the check and go home. You got to read
Yeah.
the situation.
And I think, one thing we could talk about for hours on end is active listening, which people don't really do that well anymore because they're so focused on me, 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 me. It's all about I, me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
And we don't listen to the other person.
You
Um,
you remember my boy Dave? He
yeah,
was big on active listening, and I agree with him 100%. It's such a good point.
yeah, it's true. And you
hmm
brought up some great stuff there. And I think people can avoid missing out on opportunities by trusting yourself.
Yeah, man.
Trust yourself.
Listen to that inner voice, like you were saying before, and go for it. What's the worst that could happen?
you know Trust yourself and have you're a big purveyor of this confidence and
Yeah,
confidence,
yeah.
but a lot of people don't trust themselves. A lot of people don't have confidence in themselves,
They don't.
and believe in themselves.
True. Very true.
You said it, everything's about timing, but if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But there's
Yeah.
also, I think, every situation you encounter gets you to that next level,
Absolutely.
to the next level. Whether it's people you meet, situations you're in, jobs you have, people you
Yep.
encounter, everything builds and builds and builds. And whatever your ultimate manifestation or destiny is, each person you meet and each experience you have along the way helps build that staircase to the top. I believe.
It's the personal resume, man. You have your business resume and then you have your personal resume, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, I dated so many assholes." Like, okay, maybe you did, but look where you're at now. And that asshole or a piece of shit got you to the next level, the next person. And you spent time with them. Whatever happened. It didn't work out. That's fine. But now it got you to this. You're meeting the next person. It's not, even though you might hate the person or it might not have worked out, it's getting you to where you got to be, like you just said.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look at it that way when you're in it. I totally get it. I mean, you and I've been there a million times, but it's a resume builder to get you to where you're supposed to be
100%.
and who you're supposed to be with. And there could be a huge gap of time in between. You never know. You never know. So it's life is weird. It's full circle sometimes.
Boy, you're not kidding,
And
man.
I think it's all part of the master plan.
You're not kidding. I think, you often wonder what the plan, like you talk about master plan and
Yeah.
being Christian and trying to do the right thing. You're like, what's my plan? Is my plan to do this?
Mm-hmm.
My plan to do that? Like, you question things, which is good to question things,
Yeah.
because true knowledge begins when you start questioning things.
Of course.
So it's
And
interesting.
there's and
Interesting
like
stuff.
opportunities present themselves in different times, and sometimes you might have wanted something for so long and it never happened because it just didn't line up that way. The stars didn't align, and whatever wasn't meant to be. But if that opportunity comes back around, you better jump on that shit.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can think of a few things off the top of my head that
Me too.
if that person or situations ever came back. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So, but Greggy T, this was a great episode. Any final thoughts on missed opportunities?
Missed opportunities are just that. It's missed opportunities. You can still go out and create them, like Mike and I said, and you have to put the work in. If you missed it, okay, allow yourself to be upset for a little bit, but move on. Move on and go create some better opportunities. They are out there. And why should somebody else get it and you not? That now ties into confidence. You got to have confidence. You got to get your head right. And you got to know what you want. And if that presents itself, then get it. Go get it.
Yeah, and I think that's a great summary, Greg. I think that's awesome. And to add on to, I think missed opportunities are a great source of self reflection.
Mm,
You know,
I like that.
it's a great source of self reflection. Some things are meant to be. Some things sometimes you can't force a square peg in a round hole.
Nope.
The shapes and sizes, but I think missed opportunities are a great way to reflect on, if that comes around again, I'm going to jump on it. Or, man, I wish I would have done this, but that's all right because now I recognize the signs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you keep making the same mistake over and over again,
Yeah.
there's what's that saying about the fine between something and insanity.
Yeah. Of
I tend to
course.
be I'm a habitual line stepper, so I tend to step over that line into insanity. But I've been good as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
Greggy T, this is a great episode, man. Great insight. You talked a lot about missed opportunities in the real estate realm.
Yeah.
Give us an update. Forever Progress. How's it going? How can any of our listeners who are interested all over the world, because we
Yep.
do have a worldwide, listening audience here,
Mm-hmm.
how can they reach out to you if they want to, take their game to the next level?
Yeah, man. Just hit me up, foreverprogress.com, or go over to Instagram, Forever Progress. Shoot me a DM. Happy to answer any of all your questions. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what I do. It comes easily to me. And I like sharing success with other people. And there's no reason, whatever skill level you're at, whether you just got your license or you've been in the game 20 years, we can all always sharpen each other's swords with that and get better and make more money. It's not that hard.
Yeah. And if you DM me any questions of real estate, I'm going to forward to Greg because I know absolutely nothing about real estate. All I know is that being self-employed and not meeting a certain threshold for income, I can afford a toilet here in Delray Beach. So don't ask me about real estate or anything else that's relevant to property. So that's how we're gonna end that off. Greggy T, it's always a pleasure, man. Another great
Yes,
one in the
sir.
books. We're gonna wrap it up here. Have a great weekend. Oh, and
Mm-hmm.
for anyone out there who
Old man style.
really wants to be empowered this weekend, Sunday is a certain special day for a certain special someone that's certain sitting right across from me. You could DM him a happy birthday
Yeah, man.
because Greg will always be, for as long as I'm on this earth, older than me.
Well, up yours because our boy Gary is the old man in the group.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
just
he
gonna pass
is.
that baton right over to Gary. I'm good. I'm the middle
Yeah,
child. I'm fine. I'm
yeah, I'm
fine.
the youngest.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
Fuck you, Gary.
people have a hard time thinking that I was an antagonist. I mean, I'm, good.
hmm
Shocker. But
Yeah,
yes,
thank you. Thank you.
Greggy
Thank you.
T, very happy birthday, my friend.
hmm
I think what I was telling a friend of mine earlier that we've been friends for 23
Three.
years.
23.
So,
Long time, man.
I've officially known you half your life, and you've officially known me half my life,
It's a
which
long
is
time, man.
freaking wild, man.
Hey, I'm grateful to be here. I know you are too.
I am too.
I didn't think we'd make it this far.
Crazy, right? When you think
Yeah.
about, the ebbs and flows of life, but when it's meant to be, in regards to
hmm
friendships and whatnot and true brotherhood. And
Yeah.
to anyone out there that has a friend like I have and Greg, cherish that person, tell
Yeah.
them how you feel about them. Because I hate to say it, you never know what's gonna happen in the world. So
Nope. No, you don't.
if you love somebody, if you care about somebody, tell them,
I'm all about
you
being
know,
grateful nowadays. Being grateful. I
yeah.
hold on. I was talking with hold on, let me find it. You'll appreciate this. Um um somebody's mom I was texting with today. I was asking some questions and she wrote, "It's all about gratitude, Greg. Once you learn to live like that, all good things come your way." It's a great
It's true.
quote. It's a great
It's
quote.
true. It is very true, and that takes gratitude, takes practice. But when you really sit back
You
and
have
reflect,
to practice that.
yeah,
He's right. You're absolutely right.
there's no gratitude pill you can take.
No,
You gotta
no.
practice it, and
Even the littlest things you got to be grateful for.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
yeah, man. And when you start practicing that, writing it out, and doing it every day, shit, stuff. Oh, sorry, stuff changes.
Just be
Yeah,
cognizant in your brains. You don't even, you should write it down. I absolutely agree with you, but if you're not a writer, then just make a cognizant decision once a day to be grateful for, I don't care what it is. Like you always said, your feet touch the ground. You got out of bed. Be grateful you got out of bed. Some people didn't. Be grateful you have good friends. Be grateful for whatever.
grateful I
It's
can
all
see,
good.
grateful I can hear, grateful I have my health. Like you can't put a price on your health. I
No.
don't care how much people value money or what people's perception of happiness is.
hmm
Happiness is health. Happiness is gratitude. Happiness is having a roof over your head. Or my little, she'll be 4 years old now. My cat who sits here like she protects me while I'm doing a podcast. She's the best.
hmm
So little things
Yeah,
like
man.
that can really change everything.
Yeah.
But Greggy T, have an awesome birthday. Have a very happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you.
You are loved. You are cared for. You are, man. You're getting there, man. Going to be a big, big, big birthday for you, man. So
hmm Well, I'm very grateful for my friends and my family. So
hey, and we are grateful for you, big guy. So
thank you.
enjoy it, live it up. Go eat your tricolored cookies and your Sfuyadels.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna have some sugar, sir. It's just gonna happen. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna seize that opportunity.
don't let it pass you by, Greg.
I won't.
Well, Greggy T from, I can't say DeSanctis anymore because that nickname's been officially
Ah.
retired. But
hmm
Ronnie Boy, that's another goal of mine is get the captain on here, current Ron DeSantis on here. That'd be awesome because he is the man. He'll always be the man. And
Yeah, you like him. You
I
like him.
do, man. He's just a good human being, man. And people that are listening that are liberal, like kind of this guy served our country. He stood by his wife with breast cancer. They got 3 kids. Like he's
Yeah.
doing right by people. You know what I mean? Like, so
Listen,
I mean, he's a good dude, man.
listen, I think he's good, but there are certain things I definitely don't agree with what he does. But you know what?
Yeah.
They're in a tough spot too. And people do things sometimes, for the better of the good. But listen, some of his decisions aren't good. But I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't want his job. No, thank you.
Well, I
No,
can say
thank you.
this. Any decision he's made is better than what we have serving us as a country. So, you know, but my boy Vivek, dude,
He was at Shot
Vivek.
Show. He was at Shot Show the other day.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, he was with Tim Kennedy looking at some guns. It was pretty awesome.
Vivek is he's taking his game to a whole other level. And Trump's the best. He's like, Vivek, you got like 1 minute, Vivek. Tell the world, Vivek. Yo, he's just
It's
I
just all a show. I just
it's
can't stand politics, man. I just don't like it.
well, I figured, Greg, if worst case scenario and we become communists and I'm part of the have-nots, me and my cat just want your bathroom, dude. I'll make the bathroom. Like
I'm not gonna have shit,
dude. We'll live in the bathroom, and I love that poopery that you spray before you take a dump. That is awesome. Shout
Listen,
out to poopery. That
if
smells
we
amazing.
become communists, I am taking a page right out of Putin's playbook, and I'm just taking everything I want. I'm just gonna take it. I'll own my block in a second. I'm just taking everything. So he did. Worked out well for him. Anyway.
On that note, Greggy T, happy
Well,
birthday.
my plane didn't crash going to Florida, so I'm not in the KGB if anybody was asking. So there you go. I'm good.
No.
I'm good. Nope.
Very good.
All right, sir.
Greggy
Have a
T,
good
happy
one,
birthday,
man.
buddy. We'll see
Thank
y'all
you,
next
man.
week. Love and God
Appreciate it.
bless.
Be safe, everybody.